Kendall Report. This is a special coverage of this reversal that's occurring right now. So stay tuned. We're going to go through some trade setup, see if we can find a turnaround here. Let's get going. Okay, folks, hopefully I just went live right away. I'll just start talking a little bit about what's happened here today. What we're seeing is a pretty interesting reversal day that is occurring, and it's we started and we were up almost 0.8 on the session. I believe we got up to 92 on the upside. Let me double check some of these numbers here and we'll talk about it. Hey, Final. We'll get some folks to join us. I just went ahead and started so for the replay. But yeah, so we're looking at this huge reversal here, and we traded all the way up to the 92. Let me get an exact high right now. And I had the trade of a lifetime on, and I let it go early. So we all do that stuff, just so you know that, okay? We're hearing the sound okay, right? Give me an up on the sound. Just make sure everything is going. Yeah, just give me a thumbs up on the sound, because I'm using a different camera here. So you're in my trading room. You can normally you just see a couple of screens here. So looking for that thumbs up. But anyway, yeah, I'll bring up some live screens here in a minute. Just want to let the room to get filled up. Okay, awesome on the sound. Yeah, so we got up to 93, and last night I appreciate everybody being patient with me. I was trying to figure out how to get to the contract on TradingView. I now know how to do that. In the heat of the moment and being live last night, I was unable to find exactly what's going on. But yeah, so we're really just looking at a major reversal, and it's funny, as soon as you get real bullish, you start talking about the continuation. And I mentioned both in the Substack last night as well as in the commentary I did yesterday with you folks, is that these turnarounds can happen at any moment. And when they were printing, I'll show you here in just a minute. I won't be able to be on screen because my camera setup is kind of strange. So I'll probably just come back and forth when I want to talk to you like this. Unfortunately, I can't get a picture-in-picture right now. I'm kind of on the fly to get this thing going. So, but let's go ahead and let me just see if I can go over to a chart here. Let me just do one thing here. I don't want to show you any proprietary stuff, so I've got to turn something off real quick here. Okay. Yeah, so we'll go over, let's go over to the TradeStation platform and take, yeah, you know, all of a sudden my videos of AI, stocks turn around, everything happens. And this is how this works. Listen, it's just an intraday reversal at the moment. What I want to look at, and I'm hoping that I can find a point where the algos are showing us what's going on. Let's go to live charts here. So we're looking at TradeStation here, and we're starting to see, those of you who are familiar with the webs, this is on TradeStation, but we're starting to set up potentially some kind of bottom here, but this thing has been relentless. This is what's called a rope. Let me just see if I can get over, let's come over here, and let's go to the hourly. And it was interesting because the hourly algos called this thing again. I hope you guys caught some of this, because this was pretty amazing. The right here at 8 o'clock local time this morning, so this mountain time, that would be 10 o'clock New York, when this thing turned around. And so we're all of a sudden, this, you know, it's amazing. I would tell you for like 30 years, I did not use the 200 period moving average for anything. I did use the 40 week average, which is very similar to the calculation and the value of the 200. But since I've brought the 200 period moving average in my life, this is like the last couple years, folks. Most of you have seen this stuff happen. And basically, it's interesting how we will oscillate either way. And the WaveTech PPM 200 was one of the early sign there. You can also see I've got all the pivots up there too. We got right at that top was where the pivot occurred. All the indicators turned down, and they've been pretty relentless. Now, this is what I think what I'm looking for here, and is probably, we're going to go over to a 5-minute graph here. Look at the algos are suggesting a turnaround. We have a pivot at the lows here. We've got Fibonacci targets coming in here already. I was trying to get live so a bunch of us could hang out. And I'm going to hang out with you guys until the close, okay? So we're going to spend a couple hours. I just this was just too big, and I was pretty tied up in trading for most of the morning. But now we're looking, I've got the pattern finder up here. We're seeing all the pivots, and now we're seeing the upside here on this thing. And we're probably going to see a move up to the 21 period moving average. The PPMs are turning, they're still negative, but they're starting to turn up. You can see the dotted lines here. This is the projections of what it's likely to go to. So let's look at what these numbers are. So we'll try to tie all this together. And so we're looking at the fib targets right now, 51, 34, 39, 42. This 5-minute graph we're looking at. Let's blow this up just a touch more. So we're just looking at this most recent pattern here. Yeah, so looks like we're probably going to hit fib target 1, but look at these algos. They're turning around big time. And I was talking to associate. I go, man, I can't talk right now. I want to get live because I know that it looks like there's a turnaround coming. So let's talk about the expectations and what is likely to happen here. We're probably going to ultimately come into this wedge. I talk about this wedge pattern all the time, folks. So we're going to make this follow the markets and educational as well. And hopefully we're continuing to catch a bid here and move this market up toward these higher levels. And once we kind of get our legs on, we get about 140 here. We get some more folks in the room. What we'll do is we'll back up a little bit, look at the hourly charts, and we'll start to maybe get a head start on what is likely to happen next week. Now, if you look at the metrics, unemployment came out. We upticked to 3.9, so we got an uptick there, even though the jobs were a touch better. We're just, really seeing this market starting to get a little overdone. And I'll have to say, look, here we are. We've already hit fib target 1. So I was trying to get on this because I saw this happening about 10 minutes ago. So in theory, when the PPM started to turn up here, you could have caught this probably on this bar right here. You could have caught this. Let me get some prices here for you. Yeah, we're almost up to the 21. There it is. I mean, we're going to be there in a couple more ticks. So this thing's just gone vertical. This is what I wanted to show you folks. I know a lot of you already have the indicators, but this is classic. We should test this. That's what the algos are telling us. And everything going on here. 1 second. I got messages coming in. 1 sec. Okay, bear with me. All right, got a lot going on in here right now. So, so we basically went to the 21. I wish I could come up on screen. There's a couple things I'll talk to you about while you're hanging out. I think this part, if you could stomach watching Joe Biden's State of the Union address that he did last night, threatening corporations, once again, man, that would, listen, I don't know what side of the aisle you're on. I'm not trying to be political, but that just seemed evil, that whole thing, especially, you know, the last thing corporations want to hear is you got this guy that wants to attack. I think he just elected Donald Trump last night. Pretty much what that looks like. But the bottom line is maybe everybody started thinking about what if he really does go another 4 years and we're dealing with this, and you get all of the folks jacking up taxes. We need more taxes, right, folks? Nobody that makes over $400,000 a year will pay more taxes. Another BS line. So all of this stuff could be, one of the things that I'm going to try to come back on, folks. But we did hit that 21. We're backing off. We're going to get into this wedge. We're probably coming back here. You folks, I'm sure, are watching this thing. Probably coming back into about 29, 28 here for that. So let me come back up for a minute. Yeah, so whenever, one of the things that I talk a lot about, and it's important, is taxation is always a big issue. Now, you go back to, I'm an old dude, so I started in markets about, I think 6-7 months before Ronald Reagan came into office. We were just living through Jimmy Carter's world. And we came into all these high interest rates and all this stuff. And one of the things that happens is when they did the Tax Reform Act in 1981, that began the bull market. In fact, you could argue it's the bull market that is in place today. So the Democrats are always attacking you got to raise taxes, got to raise taxes. Why? Because they got to send $60 more billion to Ukraine. They got to spend more money. They got to spend. They're trying to get everybody to, I'm air quoting, pay their fair share, right? And markets don't like this talk. Okay, they've never liked it. You're talking an old man that's been around, seen a lot of different things over the years, been involved in trading a lot of big money, and I can tell you, markets don't like this stuff. Yeah, he was talking to the regular folks, all right. Like they raise taxes, they're not going to raise prices on products and stuff. Yeah, listen, we're in a mess here, folks. I'm not going to get political. I just think that you start thinking about some of the things that was said last night, and it gets pretty scary. I wouldn't want to be the next president, this is crazy. The only hope that we have is that we can get some sanity on the expenditure side. I heard somebody talking the other day. I will share this with you. I think it's worth sharing. Is there's some kind of we'll say speculation that Janet Yellen is going to take a bunch and run the Treasury down, and she's going to start putting a lot of stimulus. How about $400 for everybody that wants to per month for 2 years, that wants to buy a house or wants more space, right? So, just crazy. I don't know that this stuff could get through, but that's just more crazy spending. That's just more of what we've been seeing for a while from any administration for the last 20, 30 years. And so I think we're coming to the phase where that was, I guess, where some reality maybe came into the markets today. We'll see. All right, so we're trading. I'm going to go back. I wish I could be on screen because there's some things. Hang on, here we go. I wish there was a way. I still haven't figured out that I could show you. I trade off the screens behind me, and there's 6 32-inch 4K monitors, but I can't find a way to display them so I could pop around on the charts. My whole setup is around another desktop that I have that I also use here. But yeah, we look at this, we're trading. If you look at what the algos are doing now, they're suggesting we're going to head up to this 40 period moving average. That is 47, 51.47. We printed a low down here at 21. So that's a 20 handle run we're looking at. Yeah, we'll go through. Hey, listen, we got a couple hours. We'll start here. Room's getting full. And just if you're one of the new subscribers, I think we've got almost 3,000 new subscribers this week since I came back on. So thank you for coming and at least giving us a sub on this thing, because it's pretty exciting. I'm hoping that we can get this new run that I'm about to make, hope we can get up to about 100,000 and really get this community to grow. You can see a couple things here, folks, and I'm going to get it. When I get this drawing tool out, I'll have to go back and forth, but it will give me the ability to mark out some of these things that are happening on the screen. So when we were over here, the algos were suggesting that this was going to happen. We were already seeing these projected values. I can tell you early this morning when this is a 5-minute graph, this little run right here, it started in the middle of this and it just accelerated. All of these PPMs, this 5-minute graph, have just accelerated into this downward flow here. And man, I was all over short on this thing up here. This was just really, really crazy. A dang near a maximum position. I just put it all out there. And but the patterns that were coming out of this thing this morning wasn't really expecting to get to the level we have now as far as the magnitude of this reversal. But we have a pretty good chance. We'll go through a couple analytics before we go. And hey, listen, we're hanging out, so we can do all this stuff: NVIDIA, Bitcoin, everything. So I haven't done this for a while. This is my first full week back on YouTube, so I guess I'm having an obsession with YouTube and being live. So yeah. So, but this whole pattern, once again, we're still on a 5-minute chart. If we look at this, algos are still suggesting a bit more on the upside. The 200 is flattening off. And what's going to happen with this 200 is probably going to kind of come in here like this. And I would say if I had to draw in my expectations, we're probably going to get some kind of pattern like this. Now it's 5-minute, so that's probably another 10, 12, 14 bars. We should get some pattern like this. And in theory, if we get the right pattern to set up, there's a couple other things I want to show you that happened in this sequence. But if we look at everything that's on the screen here, we also had this fib targets down here. We had a fib target that started calculating at 10:50. Now these are local times. Let me just see something here. This will probably mess me up, but I'll at least try it. I'm going to fix the clock to New York time. Okay, so we'll see if we can get this. But yeah, so at like 1 p.m. on New York time. Here we go. Up here at 12:35 New York, we started to see all the algos, everything turning down. Then we get this stair step, but we get right here at 12:50, we get a downward fib targets here for a move down to 51.15, 50.99, 50.89. And we got just short of that. We came into this low here at 50.21. So we didn't quite make this 14 level or 11 level, but we got close to that pattern. So it was projecting and setting up some support levels. This was what I was trying to get live, and so that we could catch this turnaround. I knew there was a turnaround coming here. I couldn't get set up to actually trade it, but that was a really nice 20 handle trade, and it was all being projected here just off a 5-minute chart. Now what I want to do is update. Let's go over to the hourly chart real quick and just see what's happening here. So we got, I keep talking every night, and I talk sometimes about it on the Substack letter. It's this volatility expansion thing that happens, and this is what happened to the downside. Now what we need to see, so this is hourly. we're 45 minutes from the next update, so we're going to get 2 updates. But what we'll probably see in the next update is where the market grid will probably flatten out on the top. It'll turn up on the bottom, and we should start to trade within this range here, upper end of this 21, which would put us at 45, and on the downside here, this low, this was probably the low of the session. Now this thing could turn south on us, but just looking at this, my expectation is that we'll go up, we'll stay above the 200-hour moving average, which right now is 51.11. So all of these numbers are starting to come together, and one of the things that I've talked about many times is getting this clustering of ideas and clustering of numbers that happen, and this is what was happening here just on this 5-minute chart. I've actually migrated some of my trading. Those of you who were in the live trading room I did last year, I used to use the 1-5 and the hourly as a primary on the screens back behind me here. On these screens back behind me is a 5-second chart up on top. This is the hourly. Then I have a 5 and a 1 minute over on the far side. This other stuff is portfolio stuff that I've got running. This is our portfolio expert software in the back. And of course, I've got Bloomberg. Sometimes they have some interesting things come up. Not very often, but they'll have somebody come up and talk about some stuff. But it's yeah. So anyway, so I have these different metrics that I'm watching, and they all start to correlate together. And once you can set up, I may have a page. Let me look over here, and then I'll bring you back over. See if I can find this. I hate to mess up my screen here, but yeah. So let's go back over here. So what I've got up here now is basically a multiple screen setup. So this is somewhat simulating this. So let me see if I know there's a way to make this full screen, and I haven't used it for a while. Thanks everybody for giving me the tip on how to get to the right contract. So this is going to be a June contract that's up here, but I want you to see just what's going on. This is interesting because over here on the 1 minute, we're actually getting fib targets up to the 200 minute, which is 52.11. That would be an interesting number to see, and that's coming off a 1 minute chart. Over here we get the 5 minute we were just looking at, and I believe this is just going to continue to move up toward the 40, and then we get sandwiched in that pattern that I was talking about. So it's possible. I mean, 52.26 is, and this is June contract, by the way. So these numbers are messing me up. Let me. I don't know that they're all coordinated. Let me switch these over, okay? I know how to do it now. Because I'm still on trading. Yeah, this is actually a good switch here. There's definitely something I want to show you here. Let me flip this over to the right contract. Here's the 1 minute I was just showing you. Getting projections 51.48, 51.54. These are these green dots that are up at the top here. But we are starting to get some rejection. I think let's go over to 5 minute. Let's just bounce around here just for a few minutes to get some perspective. And we'll do this for a little bit. Thank you for the super chat. Appreciate it. Anyway, this downward slope here on this is a 1 minute on the 200. Let's go over to the 5 minute, because this is the chart I was just showing you. This will give us a little better perspective. It looks like the pattern that may set up is we may set all the way into here. Let me draw it in so you can see this, and this would be the most likely pattern to set up here, where we're going to get here, and then a possibility. This is that 1, 2, 3 pattern that I talk about, especially in the old live room. We did a lot of that. And so what we're looking at here, and by the way, if you guys want these indicators, I got a special on them. Go to kendallreport.com/indicators. Get them. There's a course. We're actually throwing in a seminar that I did on them as well. So it's probably a $1,500 value for $497. So we're doing that for the end of the month. But the point here is that we could see this 200, but we're seeing a stalling here of these patterns. So I'm going to try to set this up. This is what these things are telling you, folks, right? So, and once again, we're still locked in on a 5 minute chart. Let me just change. I have to take this drawing tool completely off the screen, or otherwise it locks my screen. So here we are, we're almost to the 40. And that's what everything's telling us. The PPM1 is about to stall, and most likely, and this is what I wanted to draw in, I just needed to move this around. This is what the pattern is set up is telling you, is that we have this downward slope. We have this downward slope moving average here, which is the 40. 21 is down. The 10 has been down and is turning up. And there we are. We just hit the 40, and that was predicted, 20, 30 minutes ago. So now we should have, because of this angle of attack and a downward slope here, this 40. So let me explain if you're new here, because we've got so many new people hanging around. Let me just explain something here so this stuff makes sense. This indicator down here is tied to that moving average, and what it's telling us is what the angle of attack, or the angle of how the moving average is coming down, and that angle tells us a lot about what the probabilities are, whether we're going to stay above or below the indicator. In this case, below it. We're still in a fairly negative mode here, so there's going to be resistance right here. My expectation is there's a little wedge that's being formed by the algos. Let me clean up this thing. So there's this downward wedge. We're already starting to reject a little bit off of this, and then you start to get up here, and we should come into this wedge right here. We should see some kind of movement here. We could even dip down, and where we get like a right shoulder, and then we could recover, folks. I don't know, this back to 51.60, high 92. I mean, this is the kind of market we're dealing with. This is a great setup here. And let me just clean it up again. I'm glad I did this. I'm glad I got to show you folks this. It's been a while since I've done some of this stuff. So these are always good. These are just impromptu. We're just dealing with live markets. Yeah, so what's somebody's just saying you should test, is that I've got a weird thing right in front of my, where I can't see the chat there, but I think there's 10 minutes. We can flip over to 10. Let me get rid of this. Yeah, so they don't have a preset. There's 15. I'm glad I brought this up anyway. For those of you who have the indicators, these red dots when you see them, this is the pivot. So you see, I'm going to try to make them as big as I can here, folks. So you'll see the red dots are at 51.50. That's probably your ceiling in this pattern. And we're also trading right now, this is a 15-minute chart. We're trading at the these orange lines and these dots are the market grid, and they're telling us that we're trading right at the extreme. I think we're going to reject out of here. We're already starting to reject a little bit, and this pivot right here at 51.50, if we get above that, then we'll go to the 21 on the 15, but that's more of the 200 on the other charts we were looking at. Let's go back to 5 minute here real quick. Yeah, so notice we got right to the 40. We're starting to get a little rejection here. The market grid, which are these lines here, are forming a bit of, they're still up. Where are we at? We are 3 minutes and 21 seconds. So let's just stay here and watch this. Yeah, there's some adjustments that you can do. Absolutely. On the indicators Kip was asking. The reason why I developed a theory called WaveTech, and when I talk about the WaveTech software and all that, WaveTech is a combination of moving averages and using Elliott wave theory and validating through the PPMS, angle of attack, and determining impulse waves, all kinds of stuff. So yeah, you just, but these 10, 21, 40 were chosen way back, and I'm sure a lot of you weren't even here in 1984 when we did this original work. And listen, I've run my whole career with this. I claim to be have a PhD in moving averages and understanding angle of attack and those type of things. But the patterns that we're seeing here are setting up. Just a matter sometimes with a day like today that we just got blasted from 93 all the way down to 20 handle. We had 70 handle sell-off. That we're going to get what I call the echo bounce, and this is the echo bounce here. We're still. This 40 is still supplying a reasonable amount of resistance right at these numbers right now. The 40 is at 45.30. We're trading 46 even right now. So we're trading just above it. The market grid, these numbers here are super handy. So each bar is, we're projecting, we know what the Fibonacci relationships are between each bar based on range volatility. It's they're similar in that they're looking at volatility like Bollinger Bands, but they're looking at range volatilities, not standard deviation. And so so we're still seeing there's still some decent buying, and we could have just a big move up. I do have the Fibonacci tool on here as well. What time is it? Yeah, so we're a half hour. I want to go over the hourly chart real quick. We need to get a look on this. So here was the snapback. We took out the previous hour high. We're right back to the 40 period moving average here. And we did see this. This is interesting. I wish I had caught this. There's so much going on when we walked into the room here today. But what I'm looking at, when you see these indicators, they don't have to cross the first, second lines. When you see these indicators turn up like they did, if we went back, we would have seen that the algos were suggesting that on this last hour that it was being forecasted to turn up prior to it actually turning up. So we had the kind of I always tell everybody, it's like having, if you could see tomorrow's Wall Street. So in this case, it's just that next hour, and it was turning up. So we got this big rally. We're coming back into the range, because if you start to look at things from deviation standpoint, this move that we got went way too far. That's why I wanted to get live, because I knew we were going to be able to watch this turnaround together, and that is very significant. And I love these big extreme moves. I'm just mad. I'm embarrassed to tell you what could have happened for me today. I probably would have been cracking the Dom Perignon if I'd have just stayed in the markets. But what we saw was just huge. At some stage, you take profits and you be happy with what you got. But the point is, we're back into this moving average range, and this is an old Bobism. Okay, I've been trading for a long time, and when we see markets move further than you think they should have, like you could have argued that it should have held this 40. When it gets these bars, a couple bars out, that is like maybe a 2 standard deviation move from normal. And the realities is that when they get stretched that far, it's almost the rubber band effect. And that's why I was talking about the echo rally. So when you get this big steep decline, you get an echo. You could call it just a retracement rally, but I just always call it echo. And then you should get probably where the sellers will try to come back in at some stage. We'll go over to a 5-minute chart. Sellers are trying to get back control, because they were in control again. They were getting squeezed earlier, and now they've been back in control. Let's go to the 5-minute. Yeah, so we're still trading around here. Look what's starting to happen here. PPM1 is starting to get peaked out a little bit, and that wedge is getting smaller. And typically, I'm going to do my best to describe this. I'm going to blow this up. So these dotted lines, we have basically machine learning that is going on, and what we're doing is showing the path of what these moving averages are likely to do. Okay, so when I go and bring up the drawing tool, my mind, I see patterns all the time. I'm one of those guys, I forget what they call it, there's where you're looking at the clouds and you can see all kinds of formations and clouds and stuff. I've always been like that since I was a little kid, so I kind of see things. I used to do point and figure charts, and I used to sit there and in pencil, and I would mark out where I thought how the point and figure chart would look from a formation standpoint. And I always call point figure charts like third grade math, but they work fairly good. But the point is that I was able to get that. So we're still kind of extending this thing. We're trading 47. We're a bit above this 40. This is a 5-minute. So what we're seeing, though, is we're starting to get to peak momentum values. Okay, so here, a couple things. I'm going to do my best. This is actually very educational from the standpoint, because of what you can do with this stuff when you understand it. So this 10-period moving average here, this indicator here is telling us that you can see what we did was we built these indicators are called WTAR, WaveTech, like the trend of the moving average. So it's forecasting the moving average by using these indicators, okay? So when you're getting to that point, what you're doing is we're seeing that a couple things. We're seeing the 40 is flattening out, and this is a classic bottoming pattern if you think about it. You get the shorter averages that come down and cross through, the longer averages kind of roll slightly, and then I'm going to draw in a pattern that should start to come in, which would be this pattern here. This is what we should see. We should see the sellers. This is what I was talking about a minute. We should see the sellers start to come in, unless we're just, because of the volatility of the day, that we're just in this ballistic move and we're just going straight up, you know. So right now the indicator says that we're getting a little frothy. Since this is 5 minutes, I'm going to take all this off so I can get some readings for you. So we're looking at 12:40. That's my time. I guess this clock is back on. around 1240, we're going to get into potential where we start to see some decay. And what happens here, I'm going to try to walk you through this step by step so you can see what this looks like. This is a lot of what I used to do on my live trading room, so you can understand. And I'm just going to try to stay focused the best I can here. 1 second. So yeah, we're still extending. I guess you could argue that maybe this is like a 5-way pattern, extended 5 here in this little 5-minute chart. This is still being projected to go higher. So what is likely to happen here is that at some stage you get up in the top end of this market grid, and you start to trade in some kind of a sideways pattern. So you go sideways into the moving average, and by that time we should be over here where we're going to start looking at the potential of this rolling over. So these forecasts are going to change as we get more real data and it starts to calculate. Like I said, we could be on just straight up move to the 200 period moving average. That's very, very possible here. And so there's no way, like right now, you could argue all of these trends are positive. And so I'm going to clean this up. All these trends are positive right now. This is rolling over. The fact that it's rolling over doesn't mean the market has to go down. It just says the upward momentum is bleeding off a little bit. And then look at this one is still expanding all the way into, I'll get some times here in a minute. I have to come off screen. But all three of these things are kind of coming in. And this is the short term. This is tied to a 10-period moving average. So that one should roll first. And then over here is the next roll for the 21. And the 40 is not really going to break down much, but it looks like all of this, what should start to happen, this is what's being projected, folks. You're seeing it here on the dotted line. Right about here is where you start to see the 40 averages turn up. Meanwhile, throughout this whole sequence, you're seeing the shorter term averages still rising. Everything's pointing, I want to see the 200 period moving average on this 5-minute chart. That's what they're telling you is going on here. So let me come out of here. Yeah, so there's just a steady bid. Like I said, this is one of those patterns where you're just seeing the extension. We may go all the way to the 200. And that number is 5161. If you remember, we went back to the 15-minute. Let's take a look at that. Since we looked at that, we busted through that pivot. This was the pivot area that I told you, 5150, right? So here we are, 51. So we're right at this pivot. And it looks like we're probably going to head toward this 21 period moving average right here, 55, 56. And we're going back to the 5-minute, which I bet is exactly where the 200 is. Where's the 200? 62, so it's a little bit above that. Get a little rejection off of this. Let's take a look at the market grid and what it's doing right now. So the market grid is updated every bar. So right now, over here, if you look over on the right-hand side of the screen, it might be a little small for you to see. Let me move that over. It's not really helping. But if you look here, you can see R1, which is resistance 1, was 5150. We printed up in this pattern to what was the high of this bar. High bar was 5250, right? So we got above there. 52.95 was R3, so we traded between R2, R3. And the theory behind this stuff, folks, those of you who have not seen live data, but this works on a daily, monthly, all the charts. The theory is that each bar overlaps very seldom, like especially on intraday, you're not going to get gaps. And so each bar is overlapping, and the market grid is giving you targets of how much to overlap. So we basically looking at a R2, R3, if we were trading actively and we're just really a scalper, you would be selling up at that R2, R3 level, and then we're looking probably in this next bar or two of taking it back in, just a quick scalp. Wish I could get everything set up so I could show you all that. But yeah, just hang out. I think it's Ramus. Just hang out. That's the best way to go, man. I wish I had started this stuff when I was 15. I was playing rock and roll music. I was in a band. So anyway, yeah, so we're seeing this pattern as we're getting closer. Let's just hang out and watch this for a few minutes, okay, and just see what sets up, because we extended above that 40 line that looked like we were going to come up to, but we still should come down. I think there's still that rejection point where we come all the way back into in somewhere into this wedge between the 44 and 37 level. We should see this start to roll. You can see PPM1, this is tracking that 10. It's flattened out a little bit since the previous when we were looking at this a minute ago. So the likelihood of this thing getting up to 200 right now is fading, but I still think we get a little rejection if it holds here. This is where things will get really interesting. What time is it? So we have an hour and roughly 20 minutes to go, right? Depending on how this thing sets up, I told you, I think the sellers are feeling where they want to come back in at this thing and try to push it down, and then we'll get a battle and see if we can hold some retracement values, what kind of setups happen from there. We're also looking, we're about 15 minutes from the next hourly update, so let's get ready for that, because to me these are some of the biggest events. So here's, okay, just a lot going on here, folks. So I'm trying to bring you into my thought space here so you understand exactly what's going down. So here we go. We're almost rebounding up to the this moving average that's in the pattern, which is the 21 hour. And I was telling you earlier, I think we get wedged in here, and there is a potential of challenging and retracing above these averages and coming back really hard. So this is a couple things that we'll talk about as we get closer to the setup. So we'll carry our thought process from intraday to start to look at daily charts and what does this day mean, especially when we start walking forward, okay? And when that, I'm really just going through my mad scientist brain as I'm talking to you folks, showing you how, and this bar right now we're looking at 5 minutes. This could be a daily or weekly or monthly bar. Same analysis. Nothing different there. Okay. So we're getting up. What looks like is going to happen from the algos is that they're trying to stall here. It doesn't look like they want to go back above this second derivative here. These two lines, the green lines, are first and second derivative. Doesn't look like it wants to cross over. And that may or may not need anything. We're still, look at this, we're getting a bid again. I'm going back to the 5 minute. Look at this, we're breaking above. That thing wants to go to that 200 so bad. It probably is just going there. That's what I'm saying, that we still have upward momentum. We just got another update, and now we're trading outside of the market grid. And one of the things that we look at, you'll see, I'm going to got a lot to kind of point out, folks, when you're looking at these screens. You have to realize I've been looking at these market grid, these PPMs, these moving averages for the better part of 30 years. Okay, so I'm highly trained at looking. This is my environment that I created just out of survival in the markets, right? I tell everybody and anybody that's ever tried to do discretionary trading, the hardest thing you'll ever do is discretionary trading. This stuff is hard. So, but there was that trade. I knew, when I came live, I knew we were going to be able to catch a turnaround of some sort. Look at this. The moving averages are still being forecasted. Everything's pushing toward this 200. The only thing that's going to happen here in the next 15 minutes, right around that hourly update, it looks like we're going to be at a point where we might see a rejection point, something that might happen there. Yeah, and that's exactly right, Kip. That's all. Listen, the trick to understanding markets is you just stole my punchline, is understanding cash flow. And we saw everybody flowing out. I still think the sellers, they're still thinking about that 70 handle sell-off. They're going to want to push this thing down or try to. I think they fail. And probably what happens is we end up closing at midpoint or higher on the day. We'll see what happens. So we'll see. We're still, you can see how many minutes are we? Yeah, we're still 15 minutes out from this hourly update, but this 200 is absolute ceiling. It seems to be seeking out. We got our first, look at this. Let's take a look at this. Since that low, when I started talking about the algos, we're projecting a turnaround. Since that low, there's been 2 red bars in this 5-minute sequence. This is the third one. And there's only been one, and then it goes back to green. What we're looking for here, where we at? We're still 3 minutes and 31 seconds. I'm going to stay right here. I'm not going to stay focused. What we're looking at, can this market grid turn down and start to focus us to come down to this 10-period moving average? And about that time, we're going to be at the point where it's likely that we're going to see a further pullback, at least test this average, possibly come back into the 40, which is 41, 44, 47, 44, just as a guesstimate range, just looking at the pattern. So getting a little more rejection here, and we're trading almost down at the bottom of the market grid. Let's look at the grid so you guys get a feel for this. So right now the low has been 50.75, and 50.75 was R3. That's been the low of this bar so far. So the range that it was projecting was extreme 58.83, 56.84. I think it did R2. Unfortunately, I got to slide back and forth to get this. R2, yeah, 55.25 and 50.75. So 55.25 was R1. So we did an R1. We're just about doing S3 here right now, and when we get the update, we got 2 minutes to go. We get the update, I suspect this market grid's going to turn down, possibly for the first time in this entire sequence that we've been watching from the low, okay? And this thing was all predicted. I'm frustrated I'm sitting here not trading, but at least you guys are getting a good touch on that. So let's see what happens. We got 1:30 to go. You folks have any questions about what I'm talking about, just ask. Yeah, this is interesting, folks. I'm putting a schedule together for next week's videos on the Kendall Report. And we're going to be digging into ETF hacking, more of the management stuff that I've been telling you folks about. That's going to start. Yeah, hey Kip, we'll do gold here in just a minute. Let's watch this sequence where we're at, and then we'll flip over and take a look. I want to see this thing. We've got 44 seconds to the next update. I would like to hang out for an hour, then we'll go through gold here in a minute. Yeah, anybody that's ever heard my background, the very first book I threw away after reading was Edwards and McGee. That was in 1980. You follow that stuff, you will be bankrupt. Thanks, Carly. Hey, Bo. This is the March contract, I believe. I finally figured out everybody was trying to be patient with me last night, telling me how to do this. Let's just double check. They kept telling me the arrow next to the icon. Now I know where it is. So, yeah, this is the March 24. Yep. Yeah, I see Alexander's asking a question about what best one-day trading, two-day swing trading. Okay, there. By the way, I just want an update. We got the update. Look at the market grid just turned down. You see that? You see how these gold lines here they turn down. So we'll see if, and look at the indicator. PPM1 is right on that line here. Still, I'm telling you, this thing wants to hit this 262 on the upside. There's still a decent bid in here. If you notice, PPM2 on the 5-minute is still positive, and all of this stuff is starting to go up. I still think we get a retracement at least to 43, 45, 43, and a possibility of getting down into 40 handle. That would be pretty decent since we printed a high at the, let's take a look here, high at 55.25 on this bar. So we're trying to turn red again. We are 8 minutes away from that hourly update. Hey, Kip, don't promote somebody else's stuff on here. You'll be banned. Hey, Bo, would you mute him? Thanks. Thank you. Yeah, we try to keep these spaces pretty clean here, just so you know, rules. Talk about anything I'm talking about. Don't promote yourself or other people here. It's a good way to be gone. Please ask questions about anything I'm saying here. All over it. So we're still kind of going through here, folks. We got another 5-minute update coming in 33 seconds. See what we get. This line is starting to get roll. If you remember, this was projected. We go back 20 minutes ago when we started talking about this. This was projected to continue up. After the hourly update, we'll set up what what it looks like should happen. Here's the rejection right here. Look at this, right on the money. 8, 9 seconds to go, 7, 6. Look at this. We've already broke through first derivative. We're going to test the 10. Okay, interesting, folks. This is the cool thing about these indicators. They're very dynamic. All of a sudden, there's a pivot down here. I'm trying to get it big enough so you can see it. There's these little cyan dots right here, and that is 51.42 right at the 40-period moving average. That's going to be your key to look at. So there's still some upward bias here on this moving average. So you're probably not going to collapse. But this is basically what I was talking about. We're just trying to find a point where the market is going to seek out that pattern. Now we got about a little under 5 minutes to go for the hourly update. So bear with me while I draw in a couple things here. Yeah, it was kind of impromptu, Todd. Sorry about that. I put out a message on Twitter as well. But here's what I've been talking about on this pattern here. Hang on, let me get a. So when we came off of this low, the algos were projecting that this is what was happen. If you went back and if we ran a replay on this, you'd see they were projecting this turnaround. We thought we'd go at least to the 40. We did that. We exceeded it. Now we're trying to come to the backside of and test that potential support there, which is right now, I'm just trying to see, unfortunately the value's not on the page, but it's around 42, 44, I think. So what we could see here, and I'm going to tighten all this up. What we could see here is that's so frustrating. I have to take this tool off too. All right, let me draw it in again. This is a little more extended than we thought, but we should see a potential at least back to this 21. This is pretty much where these moving averages are starting to zigzag here. So there's probably pretty good support here. And this carries us all the way into the close. It's telling us we're probably going to see some stability here. And we're going to go to the hourly chart here. We're just a few seconds away, so let me clear this out. And let's watch the update on there and do a real-time analysis. All right, so check it out. On the hourly market grid, 51.55 was RXT. We actually printed exactly to 55. And we basically never even hit an S number, never hit any, it was just straight up off of this. The algos are suggesting right now that we're going to get a slight uptick on PPM1, but we're at a negative 0.30, and anything under 0.25 tells you that it is a downtrend. So a negative 2.5 or greater is a downtrend, and that is where we are. So I'll show you one more thing. I think we've got quite a few new people on here, so we'll go through there. Like I said, we've hit up 3,000 new subscribers this week, so we got a lot of new folks, a lot to still educate. So yeah, we're 20 seconds out, folks. So we'll see if this turns up. We'd have to turn up substantially to get this turnaround. We're going to watch what happens with the market grid here in a second, in 7 seconds. See if it should turn up. That's what I was talking about. And we're going to have a lot of resistance right around these moving. There it is. So you see the market grid turned up. And we've got a green bar so far. So let's look at the expectations, what market grid is telling us. So S1 right now is 42, which is exactly that pivot that we were talking about on the 5-minute chart. So we're on the hourly graph at the moment. And so what we're looking at, we've got resistance here at the 10. We still have a negative 31. We did uptick just a little bit. PPM2 flattened, PPM3 flattened. So there's going to be a fair amount of resistance, 52 to 62 range. And yeah, the 52 to 62. Yeah, I don't see anything drastic, but we can print up inside of this market grid, and we can end up, so let's take a look. 61 is R2, 68, 74 is RXT for this hour. And that being the case, I mean, that's almost like, that's a 50 handle run from where we were at the 20 level. Yeah, I do have time to teach you. If I showed you my P&L for today, you'd understand. I've been mentoring and managing money and been head of research departments. I've influenced a lot of folks. So, yeah. It's good to have new, curious minds around. I appreciate it, really. Everything should be challenged and asked, so fair enough, man. The only rule on this channel is you can ask, you can disagree, you can't call me names. Don't get to do that. So, yeah, thanks, Steve. Yeah, us old dudes got to hang out, man. Baby boomers are leaving. Yeah, just so, who was the guy that was asking the questions? Start with an R. Yeah, Rasmus, I think. I'm not sure I'm pronouncing your name right. But anyway, yeah, we're actually building, working on building an entire new platform, which is going to be really serving what I expect to be a game changer for a lot of people, especially with little knowledge. We have a new product that we're working out called Advise with a Z, and I'm super excited about it. We've been on lots of phone calls this week, on conference calls with programmers all around the planet, and working on different segments. Big time into AI, machine learning, been doing AI since 1991. So yeah, been doing this for a few days. Yeah, we'll talk about that, Shane, what Monday's going to look like. Before we get to the end, I just kind of wanted to see this update, see if we stall. I want to see. So let's go on. Kip was asking for some gold, and I'm interested in looking at gold. So let's go over there. I don't know if they've rolled over all these contracts, but let's just see what it looks like. So this is hourly gold. They definitely got some volatility going on here. This is, by the way, so let's just do another quick little educational thing, because this will be, I think, very, very interesting. See if I can bring up, if you notice that when we get I talked about this a lot, and I'm going to show you two, matter of fact, let me move this up before I bring it up. I'm going to show you, this has multiple occasions of this on this chart, and I want to teach you about this, especially you get the indicators, because this is super useful. All right, let's bring up the drawing tool. We'll do this, and then we'll talk about what's going on with gold. So a couple, I'm going to draw some circles here on this stuff. And so let's talk about, this is, I call the expansion. So if you've used Bollinger Bands, you get that volatility, you get that bubble looking thing that happens. It's similar because what has to happen, the reason why these bubbles are on this chart, on the market grid, is they are telling us that volatility is increased and the markets are indecisive at that time. So you're expecting, this is when you get into trading range type scenarios, and you get into, right when you think it's going to go up, it goes down. When you think it's going to go down, it goes up, right? That's the whipsaw. So you just have to learn how to think, and when you know you're in these bubbles, you start playing the outside of the range. I want you to notice that if you went through every chart with this market grid, there's about 12%, I've estimated through some data mining that I've done, about 12% of the time the bar will trade outside of these expectations. So typically, like it's 90% of the time, it's going to trade within these patterns. So all the job is twofold. One, to figure out directional movement. Number two, you kind of have the magnitude for that next bar, and you can go out and do different time series. So you can start with, like, this is a 1 hour. We could go to a daily and a weekly and start to see if there's expansions, and you kind of put the puzzle together. It's whether it's top down or bottom up, don't care. But what happens is you get a perspective. But just on the hourly chart, whenever you see these bubbles, you'll notice something, that the volatility or the range volatility will contract before the market makes the next move. And I've been talking about this. This here, now I'm going to draw in just a couple things here real quick so you can see what I'm talking about. And I'm even going to try to make this somewhat the same color. So this market grid I'm drawing in, what's likely to happen is you're going to see this thing kind of tie in, and the market then is going to, you're going to get bars that are going to trade within these ranges. And ultimately, over here, we're going to figure whether this is going to go up or it's going to go down. So what we need to see, that you'll see every one of these, we got expansion over here, contraction, movement. Expansion, contraction, movement. This is like clockwork. So when I see these things, you'll never, ever, ever, ever see me draw a trend line, ever. Okay, trend lines are problem with trend lines is they're subjective. So I draw them. They're probably not worth a crap. I'm going to pick the wrong points. It also limits your thoughts. I just like natural moving averages, and I've used the same moving averages so long. I don't care. Actually, by the way, let me clean this up. Let me just do something here real quick. I don't care, by the way, what moving averages that you use. It's fine, but you need to understand the moving averages that you use. And by that, I mean, you should know. I watched the 10, 21, 40, and the 200-day period, whether it's a 5-minute chart, 1 minute, 5-second chart, anything that's out there, I use those same because I understand the characteristics, I understand the bars. This market grid that I developed back in 1991 has guided me and institutional clients, my hedging clients, for a lot of years back in the 90s. I worked with a lot of big banks in hedging their pipelines and mortgages and other things. And what it does is it gives us what to expect on any given bar. And then I understand the moving averages, the angle of attack, everything I'm talking about today with you folks. And what happens here is that the markets are very predictable if you understand your work. And these are things that I've used for so long. They make sense to me. It's what I do. I put this out in the community. We've had great embracement. A lot of you bought the indicators. Like I said, for the channel, I already know next Thursday I have a personal situation coming up. I won't be able to be here, but I'd probably come live again next Friday to fill in that space on Thursday afternoon. Still, if you want to follow my work, you can get a 7-day free trial. You can go to Substack, kendallreport.substack, or you can go to kendallreport.com/newsletter. If you want to find out about the indicators, you can just go to the, let me just see something. I think, I'll just put this over on screen. You can't see it, but you will. You can go over here. If you want to find out about the indicators, just put that up there real quick. So there's 19 trading view indicators. There's a lot of, you're only seeing about 7 or 8 of them right now that I use for intraday trading. And then you can go here, kendallreport.com/indicators to find out more there. So, yeah, and I saw Bo make a comment that not these guys, they're not all subjective. Yeah, you need to know more before you make these comments. All indicators are subjective. Sure they are. I just showed you, if you hung around here for a while, 20 minutes not being subjective at all. Everything is projected. If we go back, I'm just going to bring over, it's all good. There's plenty of people on here that have used these things. So just because you haven't figured it out doesn't mean it's not possible. So, yeah. Yeah, so just so you know, we still manage well over $15 billion with our software. There's a lot of stuff going on here. Thanks, Bo. Yeah, listen, I love all the new folks. This is probably one of the better live streams we have. We got 277. We're going back to the gold, okay? So we're going to go to daily gold. And once again, we actually exceeded, you can see the daily patterns here. Just like we watched on the 5-minute, there's still that upward angle of attack. And I think we got a fair amount of new folks here. So let me bring something up real quick for you so that you'll understand. Yeah, these are not RSI and retail. These are stuff I've used in our software in managing billions of dollars. Our software, by the way, we've run almost $275 billion in our software. All right, I'm just trying to find something here real quick, because and a lot of you folks that have been around have seen this, but I think it's worth bringing up here, just with what's going on. So, wrong chart. We'll try this again. Let me, thought I had the right one. Bear with me. Okay, so this is what I'm showing you here. We have done a tremendous amount of math. Our software that we run every day on portfolios runs 10 million calculations every night. So we're a big quant shop, have been for a lot of years. Yeah, we'll go back to gold, but I want to show you this. So these are what the PPMs are telling you. These are typical values here where it says terminal value, what values we get, what the probabilities of it holding moving averages. Then there's different elements like, and for instance, we went through NVIDIA the other day, and it's over here on the parascale, which is parabolic scale. It's just printing insane numbers. It's a vertical chart, and I talked about the characteristics, but all of these different characteristics, when certain values get hit, then the probabilities go up for the next thing to happen. So most people are, you're probably used to seeing people that are talking about indicator, overbought, oversold, and how they use indicators. We use indicators more from a math standpoint. And so let's see what, let's go back here. This is back to the hourly chart in gold and those patterns I was showing you. So we're still, if you notice, the upward slope of the projected moving averages are still positive, but we're seeing this hourly, looking at a slightly kind of noisy projection, and that's what you're seeing where the moving average is starting to wave around. But most likely what happens here is this is defining the support range in the moving averages along with the market grid. Okay, so let's go to daily, and daily's been ballistic on this pattern, and you can see we traded actually today we traded outside of the value of the market grid. 2192 was RX2. We hit 2203. But these are the kind of moments where we start to get some type of where you get kind of a blow off top and then you go into a sideways zone. You can see the algos are suggesting that we're going to flatten out and roll. The fact that that's what they're suggesting just means there's still an uptrend. We're going to have an upward bias, and we're going to see that literally probably into March 14th or so based on that. These things update as we get new data, but you also see that PPM2 and PPM3 is also starting to show the same thing on the downside. Now I need to add something in here. Bear with me. So this is what your library suite looks like when you get it. There's a whole lot of stuff I could show you. Maybe we'll start doing things like that. For some reason, PPM 200 got off here. So down below, you can see here on gold on the very bottom, I just added the WaveTech 200. And what it's telling us is we still have basically all of these trends are still positive and are likely to stay positive. If you're new to the channel, if you didn't see it, I think it was 2 days ago, I did a long-term view of silver and gold. And we're looking at potential 22, 24. I'm just going off the top of my head, but go watch that video. And I think it was two videos ago, not yesterday, but the day before. And there's a lot of metrics going on out there. Yeah, so this is daily. Let's go next level. Weekly just blew out of the range. This is we're most likely at the end of today going to get an RTX sell signal. So what does that mean? That means what we're going to get is 1 to 2 weeks sideways or consolidation. That fact that we get that doesn't mean we still can't print more highs in this pattern, but we're definitely seeing this. And if you've read my Substack or you watched probably even yesterday's video, I'm talking about the 10-year dropping down into the 3 handle, like 390 potential on yields. So we're looking, this is why gold's catching this bid here. And so definitely, if you look here, this is a weekly chart, so we're looking at intermediate trends. What this is telling us that we still have a lot of positive flow that's to come. And what's interesting, we don't have extreme values, which tells you it's sustainable. Okay, when you start to get these big spike value, even though this price spiked, we're not seeing these crazy off the map numbers that are coming out. I'm going to back up to the daily just for a second. Yeah, so daily starting saying it's going, momentum's going to bleed off, but you can go on your cursor on this indicator down here where I have my cursor, and you can see even if I come over here to March 15th, the PPM value is still 0.25. So what that tells you is this 10-period moving average is going to be a valid line. So if you did see a dip back to a simple 10, that's where you'd want to be a buyer at those levels. So let's go back. Let's go back to, I'm getting nervous not seeing this, what's going on here. Yeah, so look at this. This is, we're getting a little negative push. We're at 40. This is what we talked about. Here we go. So there's that move that I laid out for you. All right, I'll do it. Just give me a minute. But this is exactly, folks. All right, bear with me 1 second. I'll be right back. So this was the exact setup that I talked to you about, was that we were going to see this thing move up towards the 40. We're going to get this right shoulder. And look at this. We're probably 10 minutes from, we're getting close into this last half hour, right? So we're coming close and probably get a little rebound into the close. We'll see what sets up here. And I'll do your stock here in a minute. Just bear with me. So let me draw something in here real quick, and then I have a funny joke for everybody. You know, and I get, I appreciate all the new folks here, I really do. And please ask questions. You don't have to be a troll, okay? You can. I'm glad to ask questions. I really am. So my nickname is the professor. So anyway, so here was what I was telling you. We're probably going to come back into these averages. There it is right there on the screen, folks. I told you that an hour ago, that we should set up. The algos were predicting that here on PPM1 that was going to happen. We knew this 40 minutes ago, that we were looking for a point for this thing to come back. Stephen, that is awesome. I love to hear that. I love when we do these live streams, and I'm just going through analysis here. I wish I could trade with you, but you know, I've made my stake for the day. I'm pretty happy. But this is what I was telling you. Once we hit here, then we should see this. If we look at the algos are kind of maybe, hopefully no, kind of a dead cat bounce maybe. The PPM 2 and 3 are just stable, so nothing's really pointing at this crazy move, but I don't know if he's on here. We have this one guy who's been part of the community for years, and he always talks about the 10-minute manipulated. So we'll see. It happens every day. It's fascinating. I'll put a 5-second chart up there. So I do want to reveal something here right now, especially and some of you will get a joke. Will get the joke. It's an old one. So let's go back. Okay, so I just used my secret tool to predict what was going to happen going back when we started live, that we were going to see a substantial recovery rally, how we were going to set this up. And it wasn't me guessing. I showed you how the algos and everything did that, but I had this other secret tool, and you folks will get a laugh out of it. It's my crystal ball. I used this thing today, so I cheated, okay, just so you know. I had to show you that. So folks used to always make a joke about me having a crystal ball, but I've actually had that this is an old thing that somebody has said about me for a long time. So my wife actually bought me that crystal ball. She goes, "You need a crystal ball." So anyway, so it's kind of fun. Listen, I enjoy doing this stuff. I did, we used to do our live room. We charged for it. You know, if you guys buy indicators, we got to support the channel. I actually have people that work here keep all the software going. You know, we have a lot of stuff going. So I am going to go through this chart that Bishop put up there. Let me just see. Let's go through it, and I'll come back on screen in a minute. Yeah, we'll do NVIDIA. Absolutely, man. Just be part of the community. I'm welcome, by the way. Okay, let's put this stock up. Too much on the timeline. I got to scroll up 1 second. Okay. What do we got? 5-minute daily. So, yeah, kind of an interesting setup here. Don't know much about this company, so talk to me, Vishal. Tell me what you're doing there, so I can interact a little bit what you're looking for. Okay, but I'll go ahead and do analysis while you're responding. I know we're about 20 seconds behind. Yeah, so this is a very interesting chart. This is what's happening here, though. I love these particular moments in time with a stock, especially a stock that's run up like this. So let's do a couple things here. The man gave me $50. I got to give him his money. Let's do this. Actually, you should just buy the indicators. I wish you put that money to good use. Let's see here. So I'm just waiting for a response to see what. Oh, hang on 1 second. I'm not getting my. I have to take this tool off that I draw with. So let me just see here. Been setting on the wrong side. Ouch. Okay, I get it. All right, let's go. Let's take a look here. Yeah, so if this is 2 Bitcoins, this is the good and the bad. So the good is that the algos are suggesting that we're going to peak out. All of them, the PPM 3 is a little lag, but PPM 1 and 2 are both indicating that this is daily, that today is kind of the peak moment for this thing. And so we should, just like some analysis I did earlier, okay, let me bring up the drawing tool. And this is going to be a tough one, man. Because what I'm seeing here, because if it's Bitcoin related, I know my Bitcoin analysis, and but here's the good part. You got one of those volatility bubbles. So what we're looking at here then is the possibilities for the market grid to start to come in and do this grinding, where we start to get, I'm just drawing the bars, probably going to stay within this upward slope here on this 10-period moving average is really the issue here. And you can see it's coming through here, and it's coming right through this pattern, and that's this indicator. It's going to stay positive for a while yet. So about all you're going to get in relief, hopefully you're not in down below, but all you're going to get in relief is probably a sideways move into the moving average. Until I'm going to take all this stuff off so I can give you some dates. But this is going to be challenging, I think, from the standpoint of trying to get out, and if you've been short this, it's kind of ugly. Hopefully it's some puts or something, I'm not sure. But anyway, that's about all the best I can tell you. I'm going to do one more level, but I kind of know what this is going to look like. Okay, so I'll do one more level for you. Let's just go out to a weekly. Oh boy. Yeah. Same thing with weekly. We should start to consolidate, move sideways. So hopefully you're in at a reasonable price, but we're going to see probably sideways movement. We're going to, if we stay right here, we only got 30 minutes. I'm not sure when 30 minutes. What you're going to get here is an RTX sell signal, which means that best you can 1 to 2 weeks sideways to down, and with that moving average over there, you've got a lot to do there. All right, so got to go back to ES here. I hope that helped you, man. So I didn't hear any more from you, but I'm hoping that it did. Okay. Oh, I didn't want to do that. Hang on. I want to get to that March 24 contract. Here we go. And we want to get back at 5 minutes. Yeah, so we got the reversal here. This could be interesting because look at what the algos are telling us now. And what's happening is they're telling us we're going to get a mini turnaround here. And we've already got a reversal since we were over elsewhere. We could have probably went over to a 1 minute, figured this out. Yeah, like 1 minute we got a pivot signal down here, and we came right almost to a Fibonacci target, and then you got the reversal. Everything's kind of pointing to come back in this a 1 minute chart. 5 minutes are a lot better for trading. And then I want to show you, I want to see what happens during this thing here. This will be interesting. And I know you guys are like 20 seconds behind on YouTube too. So this chart is, we're going to watch this. So this is a 5-second bar chart, okay? And we're projecting out 50 bars in the future. So 50 bars in the future, I got to get my calculator out. That's roughly 4 minutes. So what it's saying, which is at the moment, the projections is 4 minutes out in the future, we're going to go sideways and consolidate here. I think there'll be a little bit more movement. So everything I have running on the other chart. So let's get into super noisy, random data here. And, I know, like I said, a lot of you folks are new around here. I have been doing this for a very long time, but I have studied these markets like you have no idea. I stood in trading pits for years, worked at hedge funds, ran brokerage firms. I've done a lot of different stuff. And what we're seeing now, look at this. We're already getting slight predictions to the upside. So these are going to adjust very, very quickly. So we're going to stay here and just see. Yeah, we're going to. This is where we're going to see probably the most noise, but we're seeing some downside here. And one of the things that I've noticed, I have the 200 period moving average, which is the top average. When the algos, this for those of you who already have these indicators, and you have to have, I think, the Pro Premium. You got to have the top level and real time data to do what I'm doing here. But what it does, what you want to watch is if the projections for the look at this, we're starting to get some weakness projected here now. Look at how it's adjusting. So we're seeing the downside. We don't have any fib targets here yet. So this will be fun to watch, folks. This will be a roller coaster ride. So let's take a look, because this is going to dig you into some of the predictive math as well. So it looks like we're already starting to turn around. You see the PPMs are turning up. 5-second chart. We're going to have resistance 21 into 40. I'm throwing numbers out. 31, 36.50. We're already trading up there. Looks like you see we've already turned around. This thing called it right on the spot. And yeah, I could joke. You got to put $50 in a meter. I'm joking, man. I'll cover it. Thanks for the super chat. Thanks a lot. I'm trying to be funny. So yeah, so we're just seeing this thing. We got a couple pivots here. Now we got downside Fibonacci targets flowing out of here now. See these dots down here? We've got 51, 32, 29, 28 on the downside here. But we're still kind of projecting out the next 3-5 minutes. If I added this, put it out to probably 75 bars in the future, then we'd probably be looking at about 5 minutes out, right? So we're looking at, here we go. We're heading down toward these fib targets, weakness starting to show up. Like I said, this orange line up here, the 200, if you see the algos starting to project above or below these numbers, that will dominate. That 200 will be the dominant pattern in this chart. In fact, I think I figured out the 200 period moving average on a 5-second chart is 16.6 minutes. So it's like a 15-minute moving average of prices. And it's very interesting when I'm not using this at the level I was, let's say, a few months ago. I've changed some trading patterns I'm doing. We just got upside projections coming in here right now. Now we got new objectives. A lot of stuff's going to happen on the screen here. 38, 40, 41 round numbers on the upside here. But we need, right now, those are not very likely because we're not seeing those projections where these 3 lines down below are above this 200. We're seeing all of a sudden we're about to trade down toward this 32 number, which was one of the fib targets. We got new fib targets coming in. So this stuff is really dynamic. This will make your head spin. But this will be an interesting way to participate in watching here. Yeah, like I told you folks earlier, we might get that right shoulder, but the sellers are looking to come back on this thing. And if they win, here we go. Look at this. Look at the projections. This is a 5-second chart. Let me just trying to make this so now we're getting a slight turnaround signal here in the 5 seconds. So we're probably going to come back into this range right here. Look at this. Boom. Right there. All the way back to the 40. We're already setting up patterns. Like I said, watch for the big turnaround is when these algos are projecting above the 200, still negative. So there's still kind of a slope. We look out 2 or 3 minutes, we're looking at a possibility of 5130, something like that. So there's still downward pressure going here. Hey, Bensky, you haven't been hanging around my buddy Hugh Hendry, have you? So the 200 could be in play here. 35, there we go. We're seeing slight increase here. There we go. We just traded 200. Look at this. We're seeing the algos now projecting above that 200. See if they can get a significant move. And that'll set up probably a pretty decent short covering coming into the end of the session. But we're still struggling with this range here right now. Let's just see if we're going to go back. I'm going to go back and forth here for a minute. Going back to the 5 minute. Yeah, so 5 minute is suggesting we're going to get a bit of recovery, but we got all kinds of resistance here. 37 to 42, 43. Market grid is getting a little bubble expansion here. So that's something we want to watch as well. It looks like we should see a slight turn up in this pattern here fairly soon. Hey, make sure if you're enjoying this, hit the like button right now. Please do that for me. This channel's really taken off again. I had to take 3 months off for a personal issue. A family member has been very sick. So that's the way that stuff goes, but I'm back. It's been fun. This first full week back. Yeah, Gary, we can do that. What you need to do, I think we have a code for that. Send an email to I think it's like 247 or something like that. Yeah. So yeah, just send an email to info@Kendall Report, and if you can, send us your TradingView handle, and what else do we need? Yeah, if you could, that's probably enough. But if you have like where you show us where you bought it before, we'll definitely get you that. Absolutely. Yeah. So if anybody's on here or listening that there were 2 sets of indicators came out, we added to them, so you don't have to buy the entire suite again. You can just buy that second half. So we're glad to do that. You may have to. We can't just put the code out there because I think everybody gets that discount code if we put it out. So let's just send that email. So Tegan, are you newer? One of the new subscribers or new around? So we're still seeing. Look at this. We got up where it looked like this is the 5 minute. Let's go back to our 5 second chart here. So we're starting to get those forecasts above the 200 again. So we traded up right back up there. There's that 33 number we're talking about. See if we can get any significant. These things will turn up, and boy, they'll lead you right down the golden brick road. Right, they'll lead you to the money. Yeah, I had an awesome day before. Okay, cool. That's fine. Yeah, so we're getting lower projections. It's kind of interesting. Basically, all we're doing, because this, like I said, we're looking at every bar is 5 seconds. Look, we just traded down right back to 200, back over. We're still not getting those forecasts out in that treat about 4 minutes out in the future. When that happens, I'm hoping we get something like that so you can see that. Yeah, I'll tell you what, it's Friday. We'll watch it close. I'll do a couple stocks for you guys. I appreciate everybody hanging out. Remember back in the old days when all we had to do, when we were all locked in our homes, we would get thousands on our live streams. But I'm happy, very happy that everybody's out here. 270 is a good number, especially for a first week back. Yeah, so we're just seeing a continuation. Here we are starting to forecast to it, but not above it. If you can see my cursor in the X here, I would like to see this thing really start to move up. Let's see, we're starting to see, there it goes. That's exactly what we needed. So we've got fib targets up here right now, 51.36. We're starting to get those forecasts. It's still kind of waffling here. Look at that, just right back, just right on the edge. When this thing happens, that's why I'm hoping that it will happen, is that we got 4 minutes to the, what's called the 10-minute rigged coming into the close. PPMs, all these PPMs down here, they're telling us nothing, folks. This is flat. Just because I want it to be dramatic, it won't be, but let's go back to the 5-minute chart. 5 minutes got projections back to the 261s printed out there. We got three projections, 62, 74, 82. Probably not going to happen. Although algos are suggesting that 5 minutes, like we're going to get some sort of little spike up. And one of the things that we see sometimes, and I'll try to get to the 5-second chart when we come in, we're about 3 minutes out. So we kind of know we got a forecast up there. Let's go back to that chart, because I really want that to be, we got fib targets right now, pushing 37 handle. Slight uptrend here on these, but we're just flat. I mean, I really would like to see these things turn up. The algos are suggesting we got potential some backfilling back into these averages. We'll see what happens, and these things update quite a bit. Yeah, I want you to see this 5 minute, Dwayne. I get it, but I want you to see I use this for fine-tuning trades and trying to find locations, especially if I'm scaling into a position. We just got some downside. I just want to see if we can get these forecasts, because the same forecast, when I'm showing you here in a 5-second, works on a 1 minute, works on a 5 minute, all that. So I'm going to flop over to where we at here. We're about a minute and a half out. I don't want to miss that. So like here's you can see here's the 200 on the 1 minute. So that's 39 handle, and it's just really noisy. So maybe my hope is that we see some real activity coming in. But we're just not getting any kind of, like we're back projecting downside. The sellers may end up owning this thing. I mean, this is going to be a pretty ugly day based on where we were early this morning. So algos are suggesting a turnaround right here. We still have a downtrend coming. See what we get out of this thing. That's kind of interesting. We have a pivot right here on a 5-second chart. Well, just bounced right back out of there. Yeah, algos were suggesting that's what we should come back in to the range. Yeah, we're looking at 51.32 is like a floor. Look at that. There it goes. Algos were suggesting the turnaround. We went right to the fib targets, and we're right at that. That was the little spike we get at that 10-minute mark. We're also doing something else here. We just got a little bit of a volatility spike, but you see it's already correcting itself. So there they go, more seller. Here come the sellers again. Let's go over to 5 minutes. Just take a look at that. We spent a lot of time watching that. Getting close to the bottom market grid. 5 minutes telling us maybe a move back towards the 35, probably high end 38, 35, 38 if we can hold in here. Yeah, Kevin, you're probably right. There's some potential, but I think it's interesting the way that the market traded today, especially coming off that 92 high. If I showed you guys a position I had on in the 90s, actually 80, 87 and up, I was jumping on that thing. We were right at the that weekly, I think it was weekly R2 was 92.50. We printed 93. Sometimes they give you too much money too fast. You got to take it. Yeah. We never got to NVIDIA. So we kind of have this set up. Let's I really wanted to look at that. And also my good friend, there's your reversal right there. Look at that. This outside reversal, give me a hands up if you remember the three-day trade. So this is a setup for 3-day trade. That young lad that bought NVIDIA, this is not going to be good for you. What's going on here? It's buy low, sell high. You bought high, hoping to sell higher. That's a tough trade. Good news is it's a good time to learn it. Yeah, if you, I think it was last night, Charlie, I did I've got projections at 100, I think 128 plus. There was another number, so I think yesterday's video, if you go watch at the very end of the stream, close to the end, probably about 10 minutes to go, you'll be able to see the Bitcoin analysis. Yeah, no, this was fun. I enjoyed it. But look at this graph. Let's go out a little bit here. So kind of climactic on NVIDIA, but this monster trend here, man. I'd like to tell you, maybe it hesitates here, but it ain't over. This ain't it. Famous last words, right? But I think if we finish here, we're still going to finish in the green. We spiked way above really what we did is we got within the statistical range that we should have been in today for this week. The RTX level for this week was, let me get this number, was 910.50, and we printed up to 974. So this is a weekly chart. daily chart, if you remember just a couple of days ago, I covered this. I was saying that we were probably going 935 was target 1, 1039 target 2. So we went to target 1, we satisfied that, and then a reversal, and we're probably coming back into the 10, which has still got great. There's only about a 20% probability that we'll get below the value of the 10-period moving average. So buy the dippers will probably be a good point, 837, probably a range, 850 down to 840 is probably going to be the range. All right, let's go back and watch the close on this thing. Yeah, seller's kind of coming back in, go 5 minute. Still kind of projecting what time we got. Only 5 minutes to go, so sellers own this thing. There's no doubt. Yep, they're still pressing this. All right, so let's do, I'll be efficient. We'll come back and look at the close. Somebody asked for TLT. I think there was something else here. Let's do weekly TLT. Forecasting, and this is forecasting slightly more positive. If you look at my daily, if you can, go to kendallreport.com/newsletter, get the Substack, get a 7-day trial. Yeah, we didn't get any bounce, exactly. I thought maybe we would, but it looks like sellers are in control, which is an interesting sign from that standpoint. But yeah, TLT's got a little upside. You can see it's going to move up. Still looking for yields on the 10-year to get 397-ish. It's probably going to be extreme. It could print down as low as 391, and then that's going to be it. But there's a potential for this 1, 2, 3. Can we really rally this thing? I don't know. This is a weekly chart. We go to monthly. It's trying to set up some kind of bottom, and you know, it's got a ways to go. Let's go back to yeah, still hanging around that 30 level. Yeah, it's projecting some. Sometimes we'll get the bounce right after the cash closes out too. We'll get people covering up after the cash. Yeah, I think Monday has chances of being a pretty good day. It's interesting because I was promoting back several weeks ago that I thought that the market would probably come to a little bit of a peak as we came into first week of March, and we pretty solid all week, and even into this morning we're printing all-time new high. So this reversal could end up having legs for sure. So yeah, just hanging 29.75. Let's go ahead and watch my 5-second chart, see if we get anything. Yeah, so 5-second charts, turnaround, forecasting a little bit of a upside. We never got, I was so hoping we'd get that formation. I wanted you folks to be able to see this. There's the bell. So that's the end right there. We'll see. There's still, the sellers are still hanging on out there. All right, folks. Really appreciate. We had a pretty good audience today. I appreciate it. Like I said, just those of you, I know a lot of folks that are on here all the time. Next Thursday, I won't be available for my daily stream, but I will come probably back up on Friday to fill it in. And yeah, there we're getting a little bit of a pop here, back to 33. So the little covering up after the close. I've told everybody, probably one of the most critical points of the day to at least get a feel. I promised something else. A lot of you have hung out. We'll talk about what it's likely to look like on Monday from the setup. Let's do a quick setup there as far as that goes. But look at this. We're still getting some short covering here back to 33. That's kind of where we thought we'd get 30. What is this? Yeah. We're getting a pretty decent, here's your cert covering, 36. Let me just reset this so it'll auto update. Yeah, so pretty good recovery right from low. The algos on the 5-second, oh, you can't see it, but pretty good recovery. Forgot I went off screen. But anyway, yeah, we'll go back on screen for a minute. We'll look at the daily, weekly chart just to see how they're set up. And I'm going to do my best to go ahead and roll over with the go into the June contract, which is going to distort things a little bit. I'll figure this out over the weekend if I'm going to stay. The problem I have is some of the algos won't run on the weekly and monthly charts. So yeah, I'm actually just over here got some on a 5-minute, just got a new Fibonacci targets for 44 print. I don't think we get it, but anything's possible. But yeah, anyway, thanks for everybody, all the new folks. Thank you for your questions and stuff. Be patient. I know a lot of folks like to go around and troll on the internet. So we have, you see the folks in blue, those are our Smurfs. We police our environment pretty closely. Like I said, the only rules really are, you know, don't try to sell your stuff, someone else's stuff. Just stay on course with what we're talking about here, and everything's good. Yeah, I would. I see that book you put up there. Man, yeah, I would take the other side of that book. I don't even need to read it. Yeah, I love volatility. So, yes, I am going to do that now. Somebody said, "Are you going to tell us?" Yeah, let's do it. So I've been seeing this set up for a number of days. If you look here, we have a daily S&P futures coming up. This is the March contract. Does look like this was significant. Looks like we're going to try to roll back and probably send up, finally get a little bit of a correction. We've been doing this pattern. I've been talking about, you see 2 red bars, 3 green. This time we got 2 red bars, only 2 green, and then a downside. The algos are suggesting that there's a good chance that we're going to come back into some of the things I was talking about on the Substack newsletter the other day. But it looks like we're probably, my guess is when we get the update, we'll see the market grid turn down. So look for, if you have the indicators, you can also get those. when I do the Sunday night Substack for Monday, I'll have the market grid numbers. That's the other thing. I put out the grid numbers. I put out the database, our WaveTech database. I put all that stuff out there so that you can see those numbers, and it's $8 a month for the premium, so it's not a big deal. And like I said, we've got several projects. I think you guys are really going to like me a lot. We're really, especially since now we've had, I don't know, 5.5, 6 million views of our content here over the last 3.5 years. So I think my goal is to give back and show you folks how to use these tools, and the purchase of the indicators are one time, just so you know, and they'll be available as long as TradingView is available. And at the moment, TradingView is on top of the world for platforms, for sure. I think they're well over 50 million users now. So that would be my expectation. Looking for, I don't have the numbers just yet to be able to predict, but I will have them. They'll be in the newsletter on Monday. I haven't decided. Like I said, I'll put out something in Twitter or just look for a video on Sundays. Usually I do live streams at 6 p.m. Eastern time. I'm not very excited because I am in Arizona, so we don't change our clocks. Y'all do. And that means market opens an hour earlier. There's just a lot of other things that changes, and it's one thing to change a clock and still have the same, at least where you think you start. I have to change my entire thing. Yeah, I don't speak Japanese, Joel, but by the way, Steve Nissa and who's the candlestick guy, we worked at Merrill Lynch at the same time in the research department once upon a time, many years ago, 1990. Steve was writing his first book on candlesticks when we were working together. Anyway, but yeah, I mean, if those guys go public, that'll be crazy, right? Hang on, I gotta. Get a ambulance or something. Good. The bad news is I think they stopped in front of my office. So anyway, yeah, so this is the other thing that I'm doing with the channel now. I am pivoting from just being the macro big index guy. We're going to be really digging in. The software you can see, and behind me, this guy right here is, that's our portfolio management software, both screens there. That's what those are. So that is, we're going to be digging into ETF hacking, understand how to manage money like a pro, only having the tools that the pros have. And that's going to happen, start happening next week. So there's going to be a whole lot of things coming in. Therefore, also going to be following individual stocks. Okay, yeah, I'll look for it on the email somebody just said. We'll take a look. That box gets kind of crazy sometimes, but yeah, good hanging out, folks. That was great. I'm really encouraged by everybody showing up. Like I said, last but not least, if you don't have the indicators, get them. Special deal. We're also giving away a course on top of the course that comes with them. So sign up. It's I think $497. Typically, that whole package would be about $1,500. So anyway, have a great weekend, Bo. Floyd's Garage, always good to see you around. We got a bunch of old friends here. Yeah, so Rasmus, you're welcome. Keep hanging out. Just looking at some comments here. Yeah, and one of the interesting things, if I could get an extra 4 seconds on the clock, I have worked pretty heavy on a book on the PPMs that I'm working on as well. So, yeah, I'm kind of, I'm excited about getting that done, but there's a fair amount of work. There's a fair amount of graphics and things that have to be put together, but I've got materially, I have a lot done. So that'll probably be a self-published book, and we'll let you folks know how to get to that whenever that happens. Let me look at the timeline. Yeah. I guess that's it. But trying to wind down and just looking at some comments and just see if there was anything that was really pending. Yeah, I mean, listen, TradingView is hugely successful. I always worry that someone's going to find out that it's run by Russians. So it worries me that somehow they're going to get canceled or something ridiculous. It's an amazing platform, I can tell you that. I've used a lot of, for pure knowledge, being able to track any market on the planet, tough to beat, you know. I still use TradeStation for trading, but it's tough to beat from that standpoint. So, yeah, it's pretty big. Anyway, folks, that's it. Sort of like trying to get out the door here. So have a great weekend. Make sure 2 things you do. Last things is sign up for the newsletter. There's a free 7-day trial. The premium content is $8 a month. I think we're over something like 1,600 subscribers already. I just started that a little bit over a month ago. And so sign up there. You can go to kendallreport.com/newsletter. And then for the indicators, get the special, you go to kendallreport.com/indicators. So have a great weekend. We'll see you on Sunday.